Welcome to the Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors podcast, your home for the latest products and news in the shooting sports, hunting, and the great outdoors. And now, here are your hosts, Jake Cawthon and Jason Westmoreland.
Well, hey, everybody. It's Jake and Jason here from Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors.
With potent potables.
How are you doing today?
I'm not as good as his mustache is doing.
All right.
Hey, everybody!
It is Jay and Jason here, back from Montana and full of energy.
With these epic stashes.
Oh, the bear stash,
keep hitting?
which did not work. The bear stash didn't work. I hit the,
Is that what it was?
I don't know.
All right. That's all. I get a lot of rumbling.
Yep.
Anyways,
Bear stash didn't work. Not effective this year. Probably because we just started growing it recently.
well,
It
yeah.
hadn't been around for a while. It doesn't have any residual flavors or smells.
No,
I think that's part of the attractant with the bear.
See, I've had a good time though as of late trying to figure where I'm going to go because at the moment it's a little too cop stash, little too 70s
little
porn.
too- so-
little too 70s
Really?
porn star.
So go back, and it's the haircut. It's not the mustache. It's the haircut.
This is the least cop haircut I've ever had.
No, it is the most cop haircut you've ever had. You don't realize it?
Before this, it was high and tight.
No, that
It was a 1 on top and a 0 on the
has
sides.
12 written all over it, buddy.
Oh,
like everything about it. Like go back, watch the original Police Academy, the scene where the two guys, the commandant's like little kiss asses, go into the Blue Oyster Bar, and the main dude, that's that haircut. I know it's very hyper specific, but that's what
I
that
haven't
is.
watched Police Academy in a long time. I'm gonna have to now.
It's so good.
Just see if I
Come on, Hightower.
Speaking of that, I watched a hell of a good. It has nothing to do with bear hunting. I watched a good movie last night. It's a period piece, but called "Boys in the Boat."
Too easy.
I hadn't finished. Yeah, I know. I hadn't finished it yet, but so far, really good. Like, not necessarily a documentary, but like based on a true story type of thing.
Cool.
I don't want to ruin it, but
Okay, yeah. Don't give.
I'm just-
what period? Like,
it had been 1936.
ooh, I was gonna guess 1940, so I would have been spot on.
Yep.
Well, anyways, hey guys, if you're listening, thank you. You are ones of people listening.
We do appreciate that.
No, we really do. We do. More and more people are listening every week.
And the sad part, it's not my mom.
Yeah. No, mama, your mama's awesome.
She is
She
absolutely.
puts up with you.
She's just not much in the podcast.
I get.
I
it.
don't blame
I
her.
get it. The technologies isn't for everybody.
Nope.
So, but yeah, thank you. If you get the opportunity, like and share. You're welcome to go in and donate and buy us a beer. We always appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that helps keep us going. That's that fuel.
And that does make the stories funnier.
It does, but we've got some funny stories.
I think this one
with
kind of
just
holds it on its own.
with the coffee. This one's going to be good. So this was a.
Brought to you by Circle Star Coffee.
But yeah, it actually is brought to you by Circle Star Coffee, what we have here in the store.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been talking about it on several previous podcasts.
We went bear
hunting in Montana, where we were at is almost a 30-hour drive from here. It's right up next to the Canadian border.
And here's where we messed up. I will just start that. So for y'all that don't know, it was me, Jason, our buddy Dave, and my son Travis, who's 12.
Yeah.
And the problem right off the bat, you're so amped up. We shut the store down at 5 on a Sunday, and we took off. Everyone's in high spirits. Everybody's doing good. And this will come back later, this exact same scenario. So you got 3 able-bodied people to drive. And so you start driving, you're feeling good, spirits are high. And so the next thing you know, it's, midnight, 1 a.m. And everyone's still up and going, but the driver's getting a little tired. And you start breaking down the cost of benefit ratio.
Yeah.
Okay, we can stop. And that'll kill about 6 to 8 hours if you do a full night's sleep, or trying to get there, extend that hunting time, maybe 4 or 5
But
or
at that
6
point,
tops.
if you're only going to sleep for 4 or 5 hours,
It's
it
not
doesn't
worth.
make any
It's
sense.
not worth the money.
Yeah.
So you just drive.
You do.
You know, it's a horrible idea. 30 straight hours in the car.
Yeah. So, sounds like a bad idea driving there when you're clean, you're fresh, everything else. Coming back without a shower for, a week in a vehicle with 3 other guys, it's a unique smell you'll never forget.
It does cover up the dog smell in my truck, though. So that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, let's give them. All right, so we
All right,
arrived.
so
we
we-
arrived in the Where were we? Roughly, an hour outside of Missoula?
Well, yeah. So we drove from Anderson straight to Missoula, Montana, 28, 29 hours straight. And it was all rock and roll along. Everything's going good. We actually saw a bear on the way in. So that got us even more excited. We spend the night, get a full night's sleep in Missoula, and then we hit the woods. So we head out. We head north to around, I keep getting in trouble for name dropping, but we head north of Missoula into whatever national.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Whatever,
North Missoula,
like the Flathead National Forest or Kootenai National Forest,
somewhere,
somewhere up there. We're north of Missoula, and we hit the ground running, and so much in the way that I thought this was about to bode really well for us in this hunt.
I immediately thought we made a mistake with bringing Travis because the very first thing, so we stop at a spot.
Mm-hmm. We drive up the mountain looking around, and that's the
heavily wooded, and we all we're getting our stuff together, travel, just doing Travis stuff, be bumping around and stuff.
He's 12. He's so oblivious.
And we hear a growl, and then the rocks start tumbling. And I'm like, there's obviously a bear right here that doesn't like us being here, and a black bear wouldn't do that. So that would have been a grizzly, and I'm like, well, crap. And Jake's like, Travis, get up here.
Yeah, because he's running around. He's 200-300 yards down the road we drove on. And I get it. You know, we're up there. The scenery is amazing. There's all these creeks and trees and vistas and views.
It would suck a kid right in.
Yeah. And he's 12. He's excited. He's looking around. He's exploring a little bit. And then I didn't hear right off the bat, but Jason said, hey, I heard a growl. I was like, you're full of shit. And then I was getting my bag together. You know,
I figured he didn't think I was full of shit when I just stopped and I start staring into the woods.
And then I heard he go, I was like, and I've had that happen on another hunt. I actually scared a bear, and he did the same thing. That kind of like that.
So that was last year in Colorado.
Yeah.
That
little
we had one in between us.
That little territorial growl, kind of like a dog does if you get a little too close. He's unsure with you, and I was like, uh-oh. And that's when I screamed, Travis, get over here.
So right out the bat, I made a huge mistake. I had spent weeks getting my pack packed and balanced and everything, because originally we were planning on hiking in and staying for 5 or 6 days at one spot. We weren't planning on doing like day hikes, day hunts, and everything. I didn't want to. I worked so hard on packing that pack. I didn't want to pull everything out,
because it's the hard part when you. Our plans changed. We got there. The weather was different. The guys were meeting up there, had a little work situation pop up, so they couldn't meet us.
Snowing, which in May, middle of May.
Oh yeah,
unexpected.
That'll be a part of this story in a second.
It will be.
So we adjust on the fly, and we had a bunch of spots that we had picked out, and we were like, hey, let's just pivot. Let's go over here to option, B at this point, and we'll just day hike it. Here's a great place to glass from. Great hill, at least looks like from our e-scouting, and when you go from, like what Jason had set up, a pack that is perfect, it's balanced, everything where it needs to be, it's just right, and you throw it in your tub, and you're in the back of the truck, and you're driving, it's perfect. You're ready for game plan A.
Hop out, put on your back, and go into the woods.
But now we pivot, we go do something else, and we're like, hey, we're just going to day hike, we're going to day hunt, and then we're going to reassess our plan. And then that's where Jason runs into where he's at the moment.
So originally, when we was planning on packing in, it was topography map showed that it was going to be pretty flat and steady. So I knew I could go slow and just like a pack mule, put a lot on there because there wasn't a lot of elevation change.
That explains you so well. Stubborn, hard-headed.
Yeah. So. The plan changed. So I only pulled one thing out, and I wound up throwing a bag that's just shy of 80 pounds on my back. And
I mean, he's got 5 days worth of stuff, 5 days worth of water, 5 days worth of food.
Yeah, and we walk in, and at first I'm like, cool, because it's flat, it's an old logging road, and then
it gets like this,
and then it gets thick, and then we start going up. And that doesn't take much up for me to realize I made a mistake. So I do everything I can, right? I try to dump a little bit of this and that, and finally, because I dumped a gallon of water, which left me with an entire gallon more. Because originally where we were going to walk in, it didn't look like there were streams, and where we're at now, there's streams everywhere. I get up there and I feel bad because they are smoking me. Like they're way ahead of me, and I'm like, "Hey guys, I gotta do something." So
and it's hard. unless you go do it, it's hard to kind of put yourself in his shoes. But it's really tough when, and even Dave was smoking me. Like we had like 3 levels.
Well, he's a beast.
Yeah, we had like 3 levels of this, and he's ahead of me, and so he'd find a place he'd want to stop and let us catch up, and I'd be there about a minute behind him, and then a couple minutes behind me was Jason. Well,
So by the time I get there,
we're rested, ready to go.
they'd start walking. So that the hind guy never gets a break.
No,
Anyways, sorry, my phone went off and I had it on airplane mode. I thought the old man doesn't know what he's doing. It is on airplane mode. Isn't that weird?
Wi-Fi calling maybe.
I don't know. Anyways, so back to the story at hand. So I do my best to keep up with them, and I finally, and you don't want to. No man wants to have to admit this. I'm like, guys, I can't keep going. I got to shed stuff out of my pack. We can hit it. We can drop a pin here and come back for it or whatever, but this has to stop. And so I pull up, I don't know, I probably shed 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds worth of stuff, as much as I can, and without leaving anything super valuable sitting there.
And I always hate leaving stuff behind because very, very, very rarely do you ever backtrack the same trail.
Yeah, exactly. You never know what's going to happen when you get there. There's so many unknowns. So Dave, being Dave, as I pull it out, I get my pile there, and I'm like, cool, and he's like, cool, and he puts it all in his pack, and I'm like, which he had a great balanced light pack. And anyway, so we take off. Made it a lot better, but still sucked. So that night,
No.
Okay. That day, so we get the mountain, we get this glassing spot, beautiful, beautiful spot.
Oh my God. You couldn't have asked for anything better and it was kind of interesting for us, and it kind of sparked a decent little conversation over it. But one side of us was one of the Indian nations, so that was kind of a no-go.
Yeah.
And then we had this real deep valley that ran in front of us. We're on a hill to the west. There's a deep valley that probably went down 500 to 700 feet in front of us and carried all the way down to like the bottom of everything. And then across us was an old logging a previously logged area that also had a little bit of burn to it that was starting to kind of grow back through, and it looked perfect.
It did. Other than too much snow.
And that's where, and here's what's hard about planning these hunts. It's one thing if you live there, kind of like if you lived in Texas and if someone's coming down here to go deer hunt, right? Is that you're picking 7 days, or you're picking 1 week out of 52 and hoping that all the stars align, everything.
And we did it all right. Like you look at the almanacs, the previous weather charts, we did all our homework.
And we went this trip a month and a week later than I killed the one that's in the lobby. Yeah. So you just never know. Yeah. Because that one was shot in April.
Yeah.
And so we were, we watched YouTube videos and listened to podcasts and read internet articles, and we did all of our research the best we can. And we timed it right about when historically the rut is for the bear.
Should have been there. There should have been bears chasing bears.
But Montana is having a really late spring this year, and we hunted just below the snow line, which you're supposed to. That's where the greenest grass starts to grow, and all the things that they're looking for.
That neon stuff.
And so about 30 yards behind us, 50 yards behind us, there's 2 feet of snow. And below us, everything's starting to green up. And it looked like it was supposed to be just the most idealistic spot to find a bear. But there was no bear. Heck, we even found sign. Travis found hare. We found plenty of scat.
Yep. Black bear and grizzly. Mm-hmm. Too much grizzly. Kept finding grizzly. Right there in the area we were at. We're like, man. But didn't see any. And there was food. Like there was carnivore food. We saw elk, mule deer, like turkey, everything's running around. We're like, okay, there's going to be a bear, and no bear. And I glassed hard. Jake glassed hard, and Dave glassed hard. So
your eyes start to play tricks on you, and that's kind of we even got Travis in on the game because every became thing like there were stump bears or cows or moo bears or there were brush bears because. Well, you're sitting there with your binoculars and you're scanning, right? And you're looking,
at extreme distances.
I mean, we're looking probably 3/4 of a mile
Yeah.
or so,
Yeah.
maybe a mile at the furthest. And so you're looking at pretty good distance, and you're trying to nitpick every little thing because you never know. There could be a bear sleeping under this tree or behind this bush, or it could walk out. Or for those that deer hunt, you know how it is. It's crazy how you'll be looking down a trail, look to the other side, and look back, and now there's like 5 deer there out of nowhere. They just materialize. It's the same thing in the mountains. And so what I was doing, I just developed a grid pattern. I would start on one side, and I'd go up and down, and I'd hit the other side, and I'd go right to left. And I kept doing this thing, and it got to the point that you would spend a lot of time, and you'd find something, and all of a sudden you go, oh, that's it. And you'd stare at it, and stare at it.
It didn't help the wind was blowing, so any trees or anything in front of it
And that's what's the
would
thing.
make it look like it was moving.
All of a sudden you get just like, you're like, oh, heck yeah, I think this is it. And then it'd be like still in the same spot a second or so later. So I got to the point to where I would start going, okay, maybe, but
I'm going to move my eyes.
I'm going to go look away for 30 seconds, and then I'll come back.
Yeah.
And I kept doing that to see if it moved, and it never did.
Yeah. It was, you had one heck of a spot at a spot I'd been staring at that was the furthest area we could really look at was about a mile away. And in between two trees that were, I don't know, maybe 12 feet apart, if that, but they were in the woods. Like, it was just insane. He spotted an elk. And just, and when he told me where it was, I was already almost on it again. And I looked, and I was like, dude, I literally just looked there. How'd you spot that? And you got to think at a mile, an elk between two trees is not that noticeable between the color and the size and everything. And that was impressive.
If you think about it in relation to something kind of close to you, about arm's length away, it'd be about the size of a grain of rice.
Yeah, at the most. Yeah, or half.
Just the kind of that. Just imagine that much of what you're seeing, and a lot of it is just you're getting comfortable up there. You're starting to know what to look for. But realistically, it's the difference between good glass and bad glass. And there's pictures, we put them up on our Facebook and Instagram and stuff. I like to lean back against the hillside on my pack, and I put my elbows on my chest, and I get my arms kind of close, try to get as stable as I can possibly get.
And also, kind of like the propping your arms up with a book in front of you in school on your desk, you can look like you're studying and fall asleep, and your buddies don't know it.
Like that. It's just so
I look over and I'm like, is he snoring? Because it looks like he's still glassing. I'm like, you turd. It was impressive.
But so, I'm running the really high-end Vortex Razor binos, and my son is not.
Poor Travie, dude.
He's 12. I'm not buying him a $1,500 pair of binos.
Well, I know. No, the energy. Like, he sitting still for 9 hours is
he's got
a 12-year-old kid.
He's like his daddy. He's got the ADHD. It comes from it, honestly. But he does. As you get older, you learn how to harness it for good. He's still trying to figure out how to harness his superpowers.
Yeah.
And so
he uses it for evil.
He does a little bit. He's like a dog, right? You got to get the zoomies out. And so, but I mean, but back to the spotting thing, talking about the elk, he wanted to see it. And so he was laying right next to me. And, you do the whole okay, do you see this? Okay, now come down. You see this next thing? You kind of walk him into it. And he's like, I don't see anything. And I'm like, well, let me see your binos. I'll look through it. I was like, oh, yeah, I see why. I mean, they're good, but when you're trying to pick up something that subtle, a dark brown against a ever so slightly dark brown, I gave him my binos, and he's like, oh, yeah, I see it now.
I felt really bad, too, because I didn't help the situation. I was feeding him Snickers bars like Pez. I gave him like 5 full Snickers bars that day. Like, here you go, buddy. Here you go, buddy. Here you go, buddy. It was funny.
So,
but first day, still super stoked. Just the beauty of Montana. You never get over it. It is breathtaking, and it didn't rain.
And this is, but it did snow on us.
It did snow. We had some flurries.
And the crazy thing about high elevation weather, you always hear about Texas saying, if you don't like the weather, wait around 5 minutes.
No, we don't know. We don't know what we're talking about.
We don't hold a candle to Montana. You go from 1 second taking your jacket off to the next second not putting on layers in the same probably 30-minute window.
Yeah, the from rain, snow, heat, cold.
It's like little bubbles of air just pass over you. It's bizarre.
Well, like we went, and there was one time when it was rough, but we went through all 4 seasons in about 30 minutes. But anyway, so first day's awesome. We're still stoked. We didn't see anything, but man, we've got nothing but opportunity in front of us. Got plenty of time there.
So we come down the mountain and we decided to set up camp.
Yep. Come down the mountain, set up a camp. Set up a nice camp. A really nice. Everybody's chance. Jake has the bee's knees. He's got his little stove going.
I will tell you what. It's getting mid to upper 30s at night, maybe 40.
Yeah, I think the coldest night was down, and just a hair below 30, which I like cold. So.
Yeah, I do too. But I got my son, and I bought this little stove that I was all super proud of because I bought it off just straight out of China. I get perfect job for Travis. Go cut some wood. So I got my little saw, and he's got a little hatchet. And he's it's just little sticks of wood, probably about foot long or so, about the size of your wrist. That little son of a gun will get hot enough that I slept in my underwear on top of my sleeping bag. I was burning up, and it's a teepee, but it's not like it's insulated.
I hope they're not underwear like Dave's. Because that vision is burned into my head forever.
Yeah. Yes.
Nothing like seeing a 46-year-old man, no matter how fit he is. I didn't need to see the blue thong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was Al.
He likes his jockeys, and he's very proud of them.
Yeah, he's proud. He's proud.
If Dave's ever at the store, ask him. I'm sure he'll show you.
He's not shy.
He doesn't lack in modesty.
No. So I opened the tent fly up with the screen and everything, and opened my sleeping bag because I had a mummy bag, which it was a 20-degree bag, but it definitely didn't need it. So it'll keep you plenty warm, just opened up and laying there, and just that Montana sky, everything great. Woke up the next morning
to the rain,
and
the hard part about bears are not like a deer, or
they're a lot like a teenage girl.
Yeah,
they really are.
If the weather sucks, they're going inside.
If it's cold, they're probably going inside. If they don't have anything that's like not motivating them to get out of bed, they're not getting out of bed. Yeah, they're just not. They don't want to play, and so we know that. We know they're not morning people, right? They don't get up early. So I think day 2 is when we had to stay in. Is that correct?
Day 2 is we decided to go run into Montana and really just Missoula, sorry, and really just kill a little time. We, like anything, you kind of realize there's some stuff you could get or need, so we ran in for a little quick resupply.
Ate at a heck of a restaurant called the Notorious P.I.G. Great name, great food, barbecue. But the most stellar thing they had, and this will come into play later.
It will.
Is they had. And I don't know how they made them, but it was barbecue baked beans.
But they're smoked. They've got shredded pork in it, and they're kind of like like a box.
So good that I elected to eat about half a pound of it, like a whole plate of it, and which turned out to not be the best decision in the world.
So we killed a little time in town. We let the rain pass because it was supposed to rain till about noon, and we figured, hey, we could go in, get some stuff done, kill a little time, and then hit the mountain because it's not dark till 10 o'clock. So you hunt a long time.
Yeah.
And so we head back up into the mountains, but first we stop at a little touristy trap place, little town of St. Regis, and get
the Huckleberry milkshakes.
Well, they have these signs for like 35
everywhere.
miles.
World's best milkshake.
And how are you not going to stop and get the world's best milkshake? It's right there in your face.
Mainly because I wanted to take a sip of it and be like, oh, you guys suck. This isn't the world's best milkshake. Just like world's greatest cup of coffee.
Oh yeah,
you did it. You did it.
So typically, when people say world's greatest, it's not.
It's not.
But in this case,
it was.
Dude, one, I love huckleberries. They're basically the Montana dewberry for the Texas listeners. They're a little blackberry, but they are phenomenal. And this
milkshake was on point. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh! I wish I had the name of the place. I'd give them a shout out because it was awesome. They had a indoor trout tank.
Yep.
Everything a cool touristy thing should have, they had it. Mm-hmm. And
it's really the only building in St. Regis. You can't miss it. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
SAINTREGIS.
Got a bar connected to it, everything. Casino, So, anyways, we do that. We get the world's best milkshake.
And we get another pin from my buddy that still hasn't made it yet.
It says, "Go try this spot."
Go try this spot, which was kind of where we were headed. Why we were headed back up this way. We already had this pin. We're like, let's go try it. And so I looked at the map, and you could either drive all the way around this mountain, or it's all public. You could drive up and over the mountain, and you can hunt the whole way there.
Well, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
You're gonna go over the mountain.
We were there to hunt. Might as well hunt like a local.
Bad choice.
So we start going, and it's looking really good. You know, there's all these switchbacks and a lot of old logged area, because bears love old logging roads, areas that have been a little deforested, deforested, has lack of forest there. So there's green grass growing, and there's bugs, and there's decomposing trees, and they just love that's what they're looking for. So they has a lot of this, and so we'll as we go up switchbacks, we're stopping and glassing, and like typical Montana, you're going to glass 3/4 of a mile to a mile and a half, so you can cover a lot of ground. And our plan was, if we saw something, figure out how to get there, make a play.
Great area everywhere. From the time we hit that road, beautiful.
Yeah, game on.
Yeah. We were in the neon green. We figured out,
and that's
real quick. 3,500 to 4,500, 5,000 feet was the
sweet spot.
The sweet spot.
That's where the neon green, the freshest green stuff was. Yeah. So we keep going up, and keep in mind we're from Texas, and typically we are very well prepared for disaster. But we are from Texas.
Then there's one thing we weren't prepared for.
There's a white thing that falls from the sky. It's like water, but frozen, and they call it snow.
The snow.
So we keep going, and we hit some snow.
Which the substance is kind of white and fluffy, but apparently if you use your truck like a bulldozer enough, it can actually get compacted and high center you.
So we start kind of plowing through, and we're at the very top. And they keep giving me a hard time, but this was a team effort. The first one wasn't.
I wasn't driving.
Oh my God. So the first one wasn't. So we're driving along, and there's no guardrail. It's like 1,000 feet fall on the right-hand side, and I'm trying to do everything I can not to kill 4 people. Really, just one person, 2, me and Trav. The other 2.
Yeah.
And so we just go, and all of a sudden, and you get stuck. Kind of like getting stuck in mud, but not. Because we
know how to get out of mud.
So we get high centered in the snow, because it's truly just imagine what you think. You're stuck on top, and they've had enough thaw freeze action that the bottom 3 inches had turned to ice. And so now my truck is perfectly supported on compacted snow, and then my tires are just right there on the ice. And we stuck. We don't have a winch. We don't have anything. We don't have a shovel. So thank goodness, one, Dave has an amazing cardiovascular capacity.
Yeah.
And I had a front license plate. So
that became the shovel.
Yep. So while Dave's shoveling out snow, Jason and I, luckily we had our packs with us because we were going to go hunt, and I had all that type of survival gear. I had my saw with me, so I'm cutting down pine trees, and thank goodness a pine tree, as soft they are, you can saw through one in a hurry.
Oh yeah. So after an hour, we get out. Super stoked, happy.
Because we go, the roads, for the guys watching on YouTube, the road goes down and curves and comes around. And it's dry-ish, right? There's like little piles, but you see a lot of dirt. And so we go walk it. We walk down a little ways, and we look at it and go, hey, it's getting better.
And it makes sense to us in our Texas minds because we're going downhill.
That gravity is going to carry us.
And it's going to be warmer. Like there's going to be less snow. Let's go that way.
That would make sense. The downside to a mountain, you'll learn this, the north side doesn't get the sun, the south side does. And currently we are on the south side going to the north side. So we take off. And down the mountain we go. We're plowing along, everything going great. And we hit some little deeper stuff. And
your cheerleaders didn't help at this point.
No, they didn't.
Because we were like, send it. Don't back off. Go.
Floor it. If you're going to send it, commit to it. Do it. Go. I'm like, okay.
And it did.
And so we plowed through some stuff until we didn't. And
then we knew when we were stuck, like, oh, we stuck.
Because we get out and we're like, oh, crap. Right? And you're stuck. And you're looking back. And you're looking forward. And we're like, well, let's see how bad this is. Just try to make a game plan. And we walk down, I don't know, 500-700 yards. And it keeps getting thicker
and taller.
And thicker. And thicker. And deeper.
Yeah. From like up to, it goes from like knee to waist high.
Yeah. We're like,
oops.
Uh-oh. And so now we're for real stuck. And the road is narrower than it has been.
And the drop is
steeper.
Close. And at that point, I believe, is when Jake gave up on life.
Oh, I was pissed.
Oh, he just walked off and like...
I needed a minute.
Dave and I were sitting there and you could just hear him. All he's doing is cussing. And Dave and I just get to where we'd start doing the same thing we were doing, 10 minutes before digging out.
And for me, it's because it'd be one thing if I did something dumb and I die, right? Because, I probably deserved whatever situation I got myself into. But I got Travis and, I just...
They're going to die.
I knew we weren't going to die. I knew we had options. But you still... I got my son in a bad spot, and trying to be a good daddy. I feel responsible.
I've done it before too on a hike. Yeah, when we got too high before, I've done stuff like that. It happens, but that's how they learn.
So we start, and it's probably what by now 4 in the afternoon.
Okay,
ish, somewhere in there. And so we get to digging, we get to cutting trees, all the same stuff before, and it's not helping at all. Mm-hmm. Like more stuck. For whatever reason, the truck's not cooperating the way it ought to.
Yeah. The front wheels aren't spinning correctly.
Yeah, they're supposed to be locked, but they weren't locked. They were still one tire spinning, the other one wasn't doing nothing. And there's no cell phone service because you can't Google why. And so
at some point, late in the evening, I believe I was the one who said, "Let's call it, dude. Let's hate to do it. Got to call for help." Guy call recovery unit.
Well, we
not like mountain rescue. We didn't need mountain rescue. We just get pulled out.
We get unstuck from the high center, but to get unstuck, we got so much closer to the edge. No, the road's probably 10 foot wide,
probably.
And now we're on the left half of it. So my truck's 7 foot wide. So we had probably like 3 foot to work with from the edge.
And Dave's like, hey, all right, let's drive back after we get unstuck. He's like, let's just drive back on the edge. We, as long as you keep those 2 tires off the snow, we'll be fine. Which I was like, dude, I've seen this truck.
And the rear does get a little squirrely.
It'll slide. Even though you think you're good, if those 2 tires aren't on the other side, we are going to slide. And then I did the old man, the dad thing. I was like, hey, risk reward. Mm-hmm. What is the risk? The risk is the truck going off the side of the mountain, whoever's in it dying, or at a very minimum destroying our ride, our equipment, and our ride home. Yep. Right? What's the reward? The reward is we get home tonight instead of tomorrow, and we save some money from not having to call somebody out to us out. I was like, to me, no brainer.
So we make the right call. We call for help. Off-road recovery service said they can't come that night, and they're going to come in the morning first thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely cool.
So now, for the second time in a week, second time in a couple days, all 4 of us are sleeping in my pickup truck once again. And the downside to a F-250 pickup truck, it's kind of like Chinese torture. It's just big enough you can kind of stretch out, but not big enough you can stretch out all the way.
So Dave and I elected to give Travi and Jake the back seat because Travi could lay on the floorboard. Mm-hmm. Jake could lay in the seat. I wanted to be in the driver's seat because I knew it was going to get colder that night. Where we was going to get cold, and I'm a very light sleeper, so I knew I would be the one who could wake up as soon as it started getting a little chilly or somebody started getting uncomfortable. Start the truck, let it run for 10 minutes, turn it off, warm everybody up, and then Dave was in the passenger seat.
This is where the lunch comes back into play, folks.
So I say before we go to bed, which we don't go to bed, obviously. Nobody fell asleep, I don't think, for more than 10 minutes. But I said, hey, guys, for real, tight quarters, please don't fart. If you got to fart, go outside. Mm-hmm. And just a bit cheeky, Dave looks me dead in the eyes and just goes, and it was like God had blessed me because all at once, a half pound of barbecued baked beans hit my butthole.
And you have to realize Jason's old. And so these are old man guts.
Oh, yeah. And it just comes out silently. And Dave's looking at me with this look of like, his half contempt, half like, just, I got you. And it's making him laugh. And as he's looking at me laughing, the wall of stank hits him. And it makes him gag and then throw up.
It's the only time I have seen somebody actually vomit from a fart. I didn't think it actually happened. I thought that was like a, like a movie
this
thing.
guy has, he's seen and been around rancid bodies, like the worst of the worst. And the fact that I made him throw up made me so happy. And so he opens the door and he's like, blah, blah. And I had tears in my eyes. It was a great moment of joy.
And now we all live in fear for the next 6 to 7 hours.
That ain't gonna happen.
Because...
And it did, but I went outside like a gentleman.
We're afraid we're going to have to kill Jason because that's the next option.
Every once in a while, I get that little rumble. I just step outside and step back in. And so somehow
we make it through the night.
We make it through the night.
And then here comes the most frustrating part of the whole trip.
Oh, well, listen. I don't know if we've ever mentioned this because we've been on, me and my good buddy here, we've been on a lot of overnight slumber parties together in the woods and hotels and stuff. He talks in his sleep in a way that you don't know he's asleep. And it typically, it's either a form of a statement or a question where you feel like you're supposed to reply, but you don't know if you are or not. So you didn't do it that many times that night, but you did do it once. And I'm like, I think he's asleep, but I'm not sure. I don't know how to respond.
This is an inherited problem. My mother talks in her sleep. And when she would take naps, my brother and I would like to... She would answer, I don't know if I do, but she would answer questions, and we would get a kick out of it. When we were kids one time, and if you know my mom, she's a really nice, she's a very proper lady, right?
She's awesome. Yep.
And so we ask her, so, hey, Mom, who's your favorite kid? She goes, Kid Rock. So
that's awesome. So I can't complain about this too much because the following night in the middle of camp at like 3 a.m., I guess I had a little bit of a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
And,
full on night terror.
Yeah. And so I'm over in my tent by myself and I start like, I don't know what if I'm running.
No.
Yeah. I'm doing that.
And it's loud and serious enough. Dave and I both come barreling out with pistols thinking he's getting eaten.
Yeah, it was bad. It was horrible flashbacks from childhood crap. And you can't do anything about it, right? But I woke up and I'm like, everybody's like, you okay? You okay? And I'm like, yeah. And I was super embarrassed. I was like, and everybody's like, we thought you were getting eaten by a bear. And I was like, I think I did too.
So we spend the night, we make it through, we survive. It sucked, but we got it. And this has got to be the most frustrating
thing. Do we have to tell this part?
Yes. I'm not telling what they showed up in.
Okay,
but the recovery folks showed up, and what we took hours and hours and hours try to get out of and still didn't get out of, they showed up, and it's all about the right equipment. They had a winch.
I was going to say, they didn't have a lot of equipment either. They didn't need it.
Yeah, it was a winch and these little traction pads, which they're $60. We're buying a set.
Yeah, you got to have them.
45 seconds, out, done, down the hill.
And he did. He tied a cable to the truck, and he's like, hey, big thing here, sliding off the mountain. Don't want to do that. So he tied us off on a big tree, and just, bam, we were out. Yeah, I'm not saying what they pulled us out in.
No, we'll never hear any of it. So we skipped that. So we head back down the mountain, a little tired, little
embarrassed.
Yeah. But we get back to camp, and we go. Well, you go back. You kind of chilled out the rest of the day.
Oh my gosh, that was epic. So I didn't get much sleep the night before, but so they had the evening hunt left, and they're like, hey, we're gonna go do this and this and this. I'm like, hey, I'm going to stay here in camp for the last half of the day. I'm going to explore a little bit. I'll purify, 4 or 5 gallons of water. I'll chill. I'll take a nap. I'm glad I did because that was that cool, really getting to experience the Montana that I love so much, just kind of by yourself walking around in nature. It was awesome. So I'm glad I
Jeremiah
got to do
Johnson
that.
moment.
Oh yeah, it was.
And here's the sad part of us getting stuck up on that mountain. I went to the other side. I drove all the way around the mountain. Went where I was trying to get to. Horrible spot. It burned last year. There'd been no recovery. So we got stuck for nothing. But I mean, we still drove around in glass and had fun.
But dude, that's the highlight of the trip. Like 10 years from now, the only thing we're going to remember about this trip
is
we
got
stuck on a mountain.
Yeah.
It was epic.
And this is where
And the fart smelled around the world.
yes,
So,
well, I'm gonna say that your eulogy.
Hope you do.
You smell about as good now as you did then.
Ouch.
So this James and Ethan, our buddies up there, they finally get to come up and come hunt with us. Their little life, their work schedule allowed them to come up and hunt. And we've fished with James a lot of times, and I knew he was in shape just because he rows that fly boat all the time.
He works out for a living, basically.
Yeah, but he's 95% Billy Goat.
When he came in and they're like, yeah, we've been training this for the last 2 months. And I'm like, what's that mean? Because I know you hike in the mountains like every day. Like, how would you train more? Well, somehow he did. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he got bit by a radioactive spider or what.
I think it's what it is.
But him and his buddy, next level. And by now I've downsized my pack. Everybody's streamlined, tight.
And I will say this, they are an inspiration because when you hear people like, well, I backcountry hunt or, I hunt in the West, these guys are a living, breathing Stone Glacier, Kenetrek, Sitka, Kuiu. Like the guys that are taking the photos for like these major brands, you're like, oh, look how badass that is. These guys embody that.
They are that person. Like
that's just who they are.
And
it's
Dave being Dave's a month older than me, and he was the inspirational one to me because
I hope you just feel bad about that.
I do, but I mean the dude rides 200 miles a week on a bicycle. Like he pushes it to the limit every day, but these guys hit cliffs where like they really should have had rappelling gear just to get to the top of a mountain to see what was on the other side. Mm-hmm. And so this is the moment where we really, really got to see all the different seasons Montana has to throw at us.
Yeah, so we go out. This would have been Saturday,
and this was Travis' real trial, right?
Yeah, this is where, and up to this point, let me since you brought him up, let me talk about it. I have to brag on my son because as a dad, you're there all the time, right? He's always around. You're with him. You kind of forget that he's still young because he's right on that precipice of puberty. He's becoming a little man, but there's still times that every once in a while, and I say it's like a flash or a glimmer of a little boy that's still there.
Man, I love
because
it.
like little stuff happens. Hell, he still sleeps with a lovey, right? He just hasn't given that up yet. There's still that little boy in him.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm sure that. But there's just little stuff, and there's little things that happen on the trip. Like he would get scared,
It's my
or
wife, but
he
it
was a little
counts.
unsure. That he did a really good job of overcoming. There was a lot of personal growth with him that week, but this is the point that it became a gut check for him. Like he's 5-6 days in at this point. He's tired. We're not having any success. Some of the fun's wore off because of all the shit that's gone on. Now it's for real, and we decide to.
And it's some rough terrain.
Now,
Yeah.
James and Ethan's plan was to get into some really gnarly, really nasty, like the out of the way stuff. And I was all on board for it. I thought it sounds like fun. This is where they're going to be. Kind of like, my thought was like Elk, get away from the crowd. So we dang sure getting away from the crowd here.
Dude, so we walk for a couple miles through some on a pretty gnarly path. And then we get to the end of it, and they turn around. They're like, "All right, you ready?" I'm like, "What do you mean you ready? We're
already
Is this
there."
where we're hunting?" They're like, "Oh no, this is just the base of the mountain. We're about to go up."
They're like, it's up there.
We're going that way.
And it wasn't like there or there. It was there.
It wasn't like they were pointing at the horizon.
Just
It
like
was
just
up, like straight up there.
Like just stand back and look up.
And
be
think
like,
of
oh.
timber so thick that you literally can't see 5 feet in it. Like for a Texan, think of the thickest grove of Yaupon you've ever seen. Just with I mean, you can't even see into it. And they're like, okay, we're going that way.
Yeah, and they've got their little Onyx map. They're like, hey, there's a clear spot. It's about 1,500 feet up, and we should have a pretty good view, so we're going to go there. And there's no trail. There's no nothing. You're just looking at a hillside going, oh okay.
And so I bust in first because I was, let me go. If I can do it, we're good. And it's climbing to the point where it's climbing, right? You're borderline laying on your stomach as you're going up.
Oh, yeah. And it was a lot of fun for me because I'm getting, I'm talking Travis through because he's a little scared at this point because he's fallen a couple of times. And I didn't take it easy on him.
That poor kid fell a lot.
I told him, if you're going to go, you're going to have to hold your own. You have to carry your pack. And he really had water and just his food in his back, but it was still a pack. And
I gave him body size, absolutely.
Yeah, and I gave him one of my trekking poles, and we're having to tell him like, okay, this is how you load weight on a trekking pole. This is how you properly cross stuff, points of contact, all the little technical, like, I wouldn't call it mountain climbing, but like side hilling skills you need to have. Like, we're working
on moving your boots right, and, knowing where you're headed, looking forward, all that. I felt bad for Travis. He did so good
until now.
And we get about halfway up that mountain, and we're all like, it's hard. Everybody but the other three, us, Jake, myself, and Travis. We're working it. Well, I get one spot where I'm, hands dug in, pulling up as hard as I can. Basically you're doing pull-ups up this mountain in certain spots. And Travis thinks it'd be cute to take the trekking pole and stick it directly up my butthole.
Yeah, it was funny.
First time. Little bit funny, but told him to stop.
Yeah.
Well, he got a laugh out of it the first time. So the second time he did it, it's part of that growing up thing. I turned around and confronted him like I would a grown man and put the fear of God in him for a second. A little too much, but it's just not the right situation. But after that, I had to go give him a big hug and everything. But you know what you don't want?
But see, that's what's good for a young man, though.
You don't want a trekking pole directly up your bunghole while you're it doesn't motivate you.
No.
It just makes you mad.
But I mean, situations like that's good because this is where he's starting to navigate those little social norms of being a man.
It's so hard, though.
It is.
I did it yesterday to my kid. He comes up and he thought it'd be funny to slap me on the lower back.
I mean, look at Dave. He's 46, 7 years old. He's still kind of that way.
Yeah. I kind of think I am, too.
We all are.
We all are. We're boys at heart. So anyways, we get to this spot where we decide, okay, we're going to separate by about 200 yards. So they're going to go around this other side of the mountain and glass this huge area. Like, we're talking miles and miles, because if they spot something, they can get in there the next day. And we're glassing on a spot where we could actually get it to that day if we saw something. So Dave goes with them because they're going to do,
their mountain
goat stuff. And Jake, Travis, and I set up and we start doing our grid thing, breaking it down.
And it's a great spot. I mean,
it's
so
beautiful.
We're to a point, if you look on the map, you can't see it from any road. We're up, so we actually can see the top of the hill. We can shoot down. It's the right elevation. It's the right level of green.
We have great shots like directly across on the next mountain that start at like 400, 450 yards.
They're within. We kept trying to find something for Travis. It was within what I just call the Travis window. Like it's close enough that he could. I'd let him take the shot.
And that was really the goal of the whole trip. It was to get Travis a bear. And we're going to get Travis a bear. And downside is I started this, or Dave started it, and I went along with it, is I will not give Travis a high five until he killed a bear. He wants that high five so bad. And at the end of the trip, Dave gave him a high five, and he came up to me, and I was like, nope. Did you kill a bear? So now, and he kept trying to trick me into it. I was like, nope, wouldn't you kill a bear? So poor little guy doesn't get a high five.
So we're on this hillside, and you have to make the best little things. And then I'm finding cool stuff, and I've got my spotting scope to my right, and I'm taking photos, and I actually find a bear den. I thought.
Oh yeah, on the other side, absolutely did.
And
that was cool.
And once I found that, and they found, they messaged us. They found some scat down the way. They're like, hey, game on, great spot. And so that motivates you. You start scanning, and then Montana decides to go bipolar on us,
dude.
So we go from
and
sweating like crazy.
The weather's. We looked at the app before we left the vehicle. Everybody has different apps. We looked. It's not going to rain. Not going to rain. Knowing that. You can take a lot of stuff out of your pack because you don't need it. I mean, You don't need the rain gear. You can't wear it.
Yeah,
Then you're just going to sweat.
Yeah,
and
in
blah,
any
blah, blah.
way you can shave is always going to be the
Yeah.
right call.
Yeah. Oops.
Wrong.
Wrong. So we get there. Wind starts blowing. Sky starts turning a little gray. And then, yeah,
And then it just starts to pour on us.
pour. I'm not wearing waterproof pants.
And luckily,
Water resistant, but not proof, it turned out.
luckily, I put my before when we went to town and we went out and ate at that barbecue restaurant, we stopped and I bought a $12 tarp, just a basic camouflage tarp, because I was like, it's kind of moist out here. I don't want to always be sitting. Well, first I sat on the ground and my butt got wet. I don't want that to happen anymore. But luckily we had that because I have a photo, and this is when I knew the trip was over, because Travis is laying down.
Dude.
We're all three under. We just got this tarp wrapped around us because the storm came out of nowhere. We didn't get a chance to get it really set up, so we just threw it over and tried to the best we can. He's laying down. He's got like this 1,000-yard stare.
And both of y'all had the shivers, and that's what hurt my heart. It was like seeing him lay on it, and he'll remember that forever. Seeing him lay there and...
See, I shiver anyways. The whole hypothermia thing I had back at work,
Yeah.
I just shiver fast. I'm fine. I just shiver.
Yeah.
But he's got, and I've got a photo of it, so if y'all come by the store, ask, I'll show it to you, that he's got this 1,000-yard stare, and I was like, Bubby, are you okay? Yeah. I was like, be honest with me. Like, you can talk to me man to man. I'm not okay. I said, are you over this? I don't want to be. And I was like,
oh, it was heartbreaking.
I was like, all right, Bubby, it's fine.
So we looked at the weather.
And it wasn't going to stop.
It wasn't going to stop the following day.
But and that's the upside, with the inReach that I had, I can't access the internet, but I can access people. So I messaged the wife. I was like, hey, every time I send her a message, it gives her a pin of exactly where I sent the message from. And so I text her, like, hey, here's my location. Check the weather for me. When is this rain going to stop? And so she texts me back. It takes a couple minutes, but the message comes through. It's got to go to space, right? And she says that you have a little window here in probably 35 to 45 minutes, but then there's a lot coming behind it. It's going to keep raining.
The following day and the following day. Yeah.
Well, that evening and then the whole following day, it said a 90% chance of rain all day.
So he tells me this, and I was like, hey, dude, because our window to leave is Sunday, Sunday evening at the latest to get back here, be at work in time. And that would be driving straight through again, 30 hours. I mean, turning around and walking in here.
And if we were on bear or had seen a bear, it'd be a whole different story.
Absolutely.
But we're 6 days in of zero. Like, we've seen everything but a bear.
And so I look at Jake and I was like, and I look at poor Travi, and I'm like, hey, if that's going to be the weather, why don't we just bounce out? We've already got camp broke. It's in our truck already. Let's get a run back to Missoula or a close town and get a hotel, get a shower, because this poor kid wanted a shower so bad.
Yeah.
Not a fan of pooping in the woods.
Oh, he did it for the first time, and he's like, I feel so gross. I'm like, dude, pooping in the woods is the greatest thing in the world.
He's like, it's disgusting. So I was like, let's get a hot shower and a good night's sleep, get a breakfast, hit the road, and just drive. And if we want to, we have enough time to where if we decide not to drive straight through, we could even stop at a hotel and get another night's sleep. And
didn't happen.
Dude, but soon as he heard hotel and hot shower, the hunt was over.
Yeah.
Like, it was just over for him. He's like, yes, please.
So looking back, it's going to be one of the greatest trips I've ever taken. It is that crucible that my son, he grew up, like, he experienced stuff.
He pushed it harder.
He pushed through. I was proud of him. I didn't think he would gut check himself the way that he did, fight through, take the issues. I mean, don't get me wrong, he cried about every day.
I wanted to once or twice.
But, I mean, and he had a lot of concerns, right? He's never been out there. He was afraid of the bear eating him. He was afraid we were going to fall off the mountain while we slept. But
that was legitimate fear.
It was
because where we were at
fear.
on that cliff with the amount of snow and everything, I was like, because it kept putting weight on that truck, and I'm like,
but it kept snowing on us. That was the problem.
Yeah, I was like, we could legitimately slide off the side of this because we weren't flat at all. We were definitely at a slant.
But I was very, very proud of the effort that he put in, and it was, even though we didn't get him a bear, and that was the whole goal. it was a wonderful trip. We had a great time. We saw some amazing country, got to do things, and that was the big thing, because when he got kind of down, it was my job to pep him back up. And what I told him, and I was like, you have to, I got a little into the feels, right? And and I just trying to be honest with him and kind of open myself up and tell him like why I love to do what I do and why I love doing this. And I said, you have to realize, Travis, there's a really good chance, because we broke through brush and went places that there's no trail. It's like, you have to realize this world's been around for as long as it's been, and you're here for just a minute. There's a good chance that you will be the only person in the history of the world to ever stand right here. Yeah. And like, to see these views and see these sights and experience the things. I said, there's a point, and you have hopefully a long time before you, and I still got a ways before me, but Jason's got like 3 weeks, that there's a chance, there's a point that you'll never get to do this again. And this is the time you get to come in and soak it up and appreciate and just awe in nature.
Said, the three of us will never be here again. And just understand that. And we will never be able to see this again. We're looking out on what. And as he's giving the dad speech, right? The rain breaks. No bullshit. This actually happened.
Yeah.
The rain breaks, and this beautiful rainbow just.
The whole. I mean, it's,
we can see both sides.
So the valley sits like here, right? It's just a typical V valley, and we're on one side looking the other. And the rainbow is one end all the way to the other. Yeah. It's like full rainbow just in front of us, just for us.
Yeah.
And I was like, we kill a bear right now, that means God's on our side.
Yeah, and literally nobody else in the world could see that rainbow. It was us.
Yeah, and we asked the other guys we were with, and they're like, hey, did y'all see that rainbow? No. Yeah. That's what I was like.
It's our rainbow.
These are the things. This is that moment in time that you will never forget. The views, the feelings. I said, the suck will go away. You'll forget it with time, but you'll remember the funny, the good, the experiences. And even the bad parts will eventually become funny, because all horrible experiences are funny in retrospect.
Yeah. He did so good. The dude eats like a hamster all the time. He's always looking for food. It was so impressive.
This is your future. You've got one coming up.
I know I do. I know. But I loved it, because I would, every gas station I'd go in, I'd grab my stuff and just be like, here, take it. Take it. I do that to Samantha all the time too. I always figure like 5 or 6 candy bars. I'm like, here, just hide it. Travie made the trip for me. Mm-hmm. It was fun, because I've watched him, from the time he was, well younger than my son, to now, and to see his growth and the person he's becoming, and actually he is becoming a person.
Oh yeah.
He's not the bumbling, stumbling little kid anymore, and it was a pleasure to be with him. I wish we could have got him a bear. We will get him a bear.
Oh yeah.
Because I can't give him a high five until then.
We got to work that out. But at the end, so. You know how like grown men with kids will always be like, well, one day when you're older, you come up here, or we'll go out.
Oh yeah,
thing.
This was awesome.
And so James, being the fly guide, Travis talked to about, because Travis really interested in fly fishing and just anything outdoors. And I think James makes kind of like an off the cuff comment, like, yeah, when you get older, you come up, I'll put you in a boat, I'll get you to rowing. And Travis was like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. And after all the suck, all the bad that happened. No, not bad, just trials and tribulations, all the ups and downs of the trip. We get home, and he pulls me aside. He goes, hey, was that for real? I said, what do you mean? He goes, when I turn 16, I can go work for James in Montana for the summer? I said, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So...
either that, or we're going to retain you as an indentured servant here.
Yeah.
Depends how the staffing is.
Exactly. And it's funny. I have seen him like the way home when he was watching YouTube on his Switch, and even at the house, he's watching fly fishing videos. Like, he's stoked about it.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. You got to bring him over to my house. Because every cast.
Yeah, catch a little perch.
Yeah, those perch are good practice.
Hell yeah.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed our adventure. It was an adventure.
I wish we would have had a bear to show y'all. It made it so much sweeter, but
it's not about that though.
It's not.
I mean, you've got a goal there, but it's golly, like you say, the moments you had with Travis, the moments we had together, these little stories, getting stuck on the mountain and everything. It's man, to me, that's as good as it gets.
If we don't start killing something soon, though, they're going to start calling us hikers, not hunters.
We are hikers, sir. Our next planned trip would be first week of September.
Yep, headed to Colorado with an elk tag in our pocket.
Archery elk. So I'm sure, I mean, what do they say? The 205th time's a charm?
Something like that. We're going to make it happen.
It's been like 3 years. We haven't killed an elk.
The upside, though, the last couple of times we went without a guide. We decided to go back with the guide this time. And we did a lot. We did a lot of research on this. We did a lot of research, spent a lot of time and kind of vetting the guy. And he has a really, really good success rate in Colorado. So hopefully.
We'll give you a review. We're not going to drop any names or anything yet. But it is a company that they will put your spike camp up. You go deep, so you can put stuff on mules, horses, pack in way further than you could. You can carry more supplies than you'd be able to just on your back for a 5, 6, 7 day hunt. And so we're gonna go in, but has a really.
Yeah, he's got two options. We opted for the second. One is they'll basically get you back there and go, hey, this is where we're finding them. Or they'll go back with you and say, hey, these are where they are.
Yeah. So we haven't killed an elk in several years, maybe 4 years, 3, 4 years. So
it's time.
It's time. And every time we do it, it's great learning on your own. And we have learned so much over the years. But there's nothing wrong every once in a while with going out with a master and
getting a little help.
Learn a little bit more. And I'm sure next year we'll take whatever we can utilize. Maybe, there's different tones and calls and different methods. And
it's the same thing when you go fishing. A lot of times I go somewhere new, I'll book a guide that first day and then kind of figure out how they fish around that area.
Especially when you're in a new area.
Exactly. Because
this is a different part of, so we're not doing Montana this year, we're doing Colorado. Well, we might do Montana, but we're doing, this first big hunt is in Colorado. And I'm excited about it. Stoked. So, and is it bear season 2 there?
Maybe. I have to look.
We'll have to look, see. Maybe it's fall bear. If it is, because we're taking Travie on this one too.
There is a fall bear season, and it's in September because I remember it coinciding with archery season last time.
Hey.
There you go.
This might be it. He's been practicing with that bow. Oh, if he could get his first bear with a bow.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be gnarly.
Speaking of that, we went actually shot the other day. I got to take him down to Live Oak and get him to lengthen it.
Change his draw length.
It's like 2 inches short now.
Yeah, he's growing like a weed. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for watching us. If you get the opportunity, come into the store. We'd love to say hi, share some of these stories with you. We can only talk about so much on the podcast.
We got photos we'll share, tell the whole thing.
And we just love it when people come in and tell us their stories too.
Absolutely.
Get the opportunity.
If you did a better job at spring bear than we did, come tell us how you did.
Yeah. And we need all the help we can get, apparently. Thank y'all so much. If y'all need anything, give us a shout. We love to see comments in the YouTube videos. You can message us through the website, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it.
Yeah, send us a smoke signal.
Or give us a call. Yeah.
We're always around, guys.
Guys, y'all have a wonderful week. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors podcast with your hosts Jake Cawthon and Jason Westmoreland. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. New episodes drop every Monday and catch up in between episodes on the Circle Star Minute every Friday. For more information, visit CircleStarFirearms.com, or better yet, come see our great new store at 6320 Highway 90 in Anderson, Texas. Until next time, safe shooting, folks.